So I'll try and be brief here. The broader project and where we're coming at is to try and look at on a big scale, landscape scale, what is happening to our wildlife, and in our case, birds, but in butterflies and plants as well. So the overall bigger picture, the name Tracking the Impact is literally to track the impact of what's happening in the Chilterns. That's everything that our farmers and landowners and wildlife trusts and everybody are doing to create and manage habitat. It looks also, I guess, the things we're losing through development, all this. We're looking at things on a landscape scale. We're wanting to set this up over a long term. So the hope is we'll still be surveying, we'll still be like going out surveying our birds and butterflies and plants in the next 10, 15 years. So we can really build that long-term data set. So we understand what's happening in our patch and we can look at the true impact and hopefully do something about that by engaging back with our farmers and landowners to help with habitat improvements, those kinds of things. So essentially tracking the impact.
Just a quick question on that.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you were telling me that it's year 5 this year.
Yep.
How many farms are now participating in the survey?
Good question. So alongside the work that you're doing in tracking the impact, which works across, and I'll come to the square bit in a minute, we've got 18 farmers who are part of a cluster group. So those farmers have been working with us now for 4 or 5 years, and they've done a whole range of different things, some more than others, admittedly, but a whole range of things from planting. So we've planted and coppiced around about 20 kilometres of hedge. We've helped all bar about 2 of them get into countryside stewardship schemes where they're getting paid for hedgerow management, creating new wildflower field margins, winter feeding of birds, those kinds of things. So the hope is that that carries alongside your work, and we can continue to provide advice to farmers and help for farmers, and they can deliver more practical projects to improve and increase the amount of habitat that's out there. And tracking the impact bolts around that says, actually, is that making a difference? What difference is that making 5, 10, 15 years down the line? Are we increasing our bird populations? Are we increasing our butterfly populations? And if we're not, it gives us some clues as to how we're doing it. So your work in the project is absolutely critical to help us and the farmers kind of track what they're doing, working very much in partnership with the farmers to understand the impact. I keep going back to those 2 words, to track the impact of what they're doing on the ground. So we could probably in other sessions we go into a bit more detail about what the farmers are doing, but to set this in context, really, the surveying project sits across all of that. We're focusing on 72 1 kilometre squares, and that's our kind of sample size, if you like. And they're all 1 kilometre squares, so we can be consistent, we can be systematic in our research across the piece. And the hope is that we can carry out breeding bird survey and those 72 squares, wider countryside butterfly surveys and plant monitoring schemes over a long period that looks at those kind of trends. And looking around the room, I know Michael and 1 or 2 others, you're involved in butterfly surveys and plant surveys as well. So thank you for all your help in putting that together. And as part of that, the training program that you're signed up to here is to help, I guess, where you may need some help, or you're new into kind of surveying, to help you with your ID skills, to brush up on your ID skills, or to increase your confidence, so you can work that kind of through, with hope that actually in time you might want to take on a survey. There's no pressure if you don't. Part of the course is also go out and have some fun, visit some great places, learn from Dave and Simon, learn from each other, and pick up on your ID skills and see some new birds that you may not have seen before. The hope is also that in time some of you may think, well, I quite feel ready now to maybe pick up a survey square or get involved in some of the formal surveying as we go through. So that's kind of where the whole thing kind of fits together. And your training program starting tomorrow so tomorrow and tonight is the first of a series of 6 sessions that we've lined up for you this spring and summer. As I say, every session will be a Friday night Zoom similar to this, where you'll get a kind of a warm-up, if you like, for what you're likely to find the day after, and then you go to a range of different habitats. So tomorrow you're going to be focusing on wetland birds, and probably very wetland birds, which I'm sure Dave will talk to you about that in a minute. You get to go to a range of farmland sites, you're going to a range of scrub sites, woodland sites, so you get a range of habitats. So over the course of the course, you'll get a range of different species. We've timed the session so you'll work it around some of the arrival times of some of the migrants. So hopefully you'll pick up a good selection of some of the spring migrants that are coming back, some of our breeding species, and who knows, you might pick up the odd rarity here and there with a nice passage migrant as you go through as well. So 6 sessions between now and the end of June, into July, and hopefully all the details are in the course program, and that will make sense that I sent around the other week. And if it doesn't, please let me know and I can correct that or clarify anything if that doesn't make sense. We've got the WhatsApp group that's set up for both groups. That's there to, yes, have a bit of chat about your sessions, how many birds do you see, giving you lists on your sessions, but also to chat around any last minute logistics, any changes of plan or anything last minute the night before if the weather changes, all those kind of things. So hopefully that WhatsApp group will keep you in touch with Dave and Simon and each other. What else to say about the courses? They're staggered. So we've deliberately staggered the two groups. So if you can't make, say if you're in Dave's group in group one and you can't make one of the sessions, the hope is you'll be able to then swap to one of Simon's. So the hope is I mean, life happens as much as we think that birds are important, and bird ID is more important than anything else. You might have a wedding to go to or a holiday, heaven forbid. So you're able to swap around. So if you want to do that, we can do that on the WhatsApp groups themselves. So hopefully everything's in place for you to have a great time over the summer. You've got two brilliant tutors, very experienced tutors in Dave and Simon. They've been working with groups like yourselves for the last 4 years as well. So they're very versed in the sites and the birds of the Chilterns. So hopefully you'll have a great time, learn lots. And in time, hopefully, if anyone is interested in wanting to pick up a survey, or if you are picking up a survey and you want to run alongside it, then let me know and we can help you with other training we've got lined up around survey methodology as well. So probably enough from me, Dave, really, in terms of scene setting, unless I've missed anything.
Just a reminder in terms of the different dates for the.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So conscious. Some of you are picking up a bird survey this year, and some of you might do later on. So this may be relevant for some of you. But actually, the over the surveys themselves, the way we're trying to do it, or where we are doing it, is exactly mirror the national survey scheme. So in today's context, we exactly mirror the BTO's breeding bird survey. So your methodology is exactly the same, and you'll walk the same kind of transit routes, and your data entry online is exactly the same as it would be from a national perspective. So we're consistent across the piece, and that essentially asks for 3 visits. So the first visit is a pre-survey season recce, where you go back to your site, you just check that your transit route is clear, that it still makes sense, and all the kind of way markers are still in place, and you're prepped, ready to go. And then the actual survey itself consists of 1 visit between April and the middle of May. So that's what they call your early season visit. So you'd walk your transects and you record your birds at a date that's convenient for you between 1st of April and May the 15th is the cutoff. And then what they call the late season will be between the 15th of May and the 30th of June. So 2 visits essentially between April and the end of June, 1 the early visit and 1 late visit. And that essentially is then your bird survey for that year complete. So they're timed to fit early migrants and early breeders, then some of the later migrants. And if you go twice, you always pick up birds different on your first one to your second one and vice versa. So across your 2 visits, you'll pretty much pick up most of the birds that are on site that are breeding that way. So 2 visits, April to mid-May and then mid-May to June. If that answers your question, Dave?
Yep, that's fine. Thanks, Nick.
Brilliant. So rather than me make a clumsy job of introducing yourself and Simon, is it easier if you want to give a bit of background and say hello yourself, Simon and Dave, and a bit of background to yourselves, and then we'll kick into, I guess, to the meat of tonight's session, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dave Parmenter. I think this is the 3rd or 4th year that myself and Simon have been doing the training. I've been birding for far too many years. I think it's over 50 years now, in the UK and various parts of the world. And I think we've had, fair to say that over the last 3-4 years of the training sessions, we've had some good days out and some good sessions. And I think it's been great to see the development of people in terms of the skills of recognizing birds by sight and also by sound, and giving people the confidence to take on their squares and start surveying. So looking forward to developing that even further this year by sort of visiting some slightly different habitats and also looking at some slightly different groups of birds, so that everybody can expand their knowledge and confidence in terms of bird surveying. Simon, do you want to have a quick word?
Yep. Welcome everybody, and yeah. So I'm Dave Parmenter, sort of version 2 Obviously, Dave, you got rid of your beard. I didn't realise that was the thought we had the memo. And yeah, just to echo what Dave said, it's been an absolutely brilliant working with Nick and the team over the last sort of 3-4 years. Yeah, we love taking you out and hopefully arming you for the season ahead. And it's lovely to see a few returners, but also a few new people, which is just lovely. So we're going to be tailoring our walks based on your experience levels as well. So if there is some, very new people to the project or to bird identification, we can absolutely, focus on getting you up to speed. And for those old hands, such as Colin there, we will be leveraging our coming back members. Adrian, don't think you're getting away with it. To help support us in getting you guys up to speed. So yeah, that's it. Over to you, Dave. I think you're going to take us through some top tips.
Yes.
And there is absolutely no competition between the two groups whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Except there might be a little bit. Yeah. Healthy rivalry. But
What makes you think that?
Mariki, that's what makes me think that.
Yeah. Now all I've got to do is find out where my cursor is on my two screens and see if I can advance the slide. There we go. So we're just going to go through as an introduction and a recap for those that are returning in terms of some of the top tips that we've come up with over the last 3-4 years to help you when you're doing your surveys and maybe even just visiting a new site for the first time in terms of getting the most out of the birding opportunities that are presented to you. We use a picture of Nick's favourite bird on the introduction to our top tips. This is the corn bunting, which we'll go into. Simon will go into in a bit more depth in a few more minutes. But in the meantime, we just want to sort of talk about some of these top tips just to help you, as I say, maximize the return on your investment of your time in visiting places and to help you get the most out of the work that you're doing to record what you can find. And so, before starting or before getting to the site, remember to pack all the pieces of equipment that you need that might be helpful, that will help you in terms of your visit and your surveying. And one of the first things is to have that potential list of species in mind. What sort of piece of countryside are you visiting? What sort of habitat is it? And therefore, what sort of species are you likely to come across? And maybe to review some of those species either in a field guide or to listen to some of those species on something like xenocanto.org or through Merlin, the app, which we'll talk about. And just a refresher, Simon and myself are exactly the same as are most birders. When you get to the spring and you get the first black cap garden warbler, and you think, which one is it? We all do the same. And then once you've got your ear in, as it were, or your eye in, then away you go, and you can separate the two very easily. But just that first time, just to remember it, maybe play it first before you get there, and then you'll be ahead of the game. Think about what IDAs that you do want to take with you. Obviously, you've got to take a notebook and recording sheet. Now, your notebook could be on a phone or a tablet or whatever, or it could be using the old-fashioned sheet and pen. Have your phone with whatever apps that you think you're going to need that are going to help you, and we'll go into that in a bit more detail. But obviously, binoculars are the key element here. And sometimes, depending on the habitat, if it's open fields and you've got a a long vista to look at, then sometimes a telescope, if you have one available, can be very useful in helping you identify species from a distance, and to save you having to walk through a field and disturb everything just to see it. Once you're there, you're out of the car and you're walking around, you're starting your survey, you're starting to walk along the path. Take some time, stop, and look ahead of you and look at the habitat that you're moving into. You know, if you're going to be walking alongside a hedge, stand at the start of that hedge to begin with. Make a note of the wind direction, where the sun is. How easy is it going to be to see the birds against the sun? Which way are they going to fly if you're walking them into the wind? Are they going to fly back over your head? Are they going to fly further away from you? That sort of thing. So think about where the birds might be and how they might react when you know, and undoubtedly there will be some sort of disturbance in terms of moving them around. And the more you do it, the more you'll understand, you'll pick up on which way the birds are going when in comparison with the wind direction and so on. And the next time you visit, it'll be a lot easier for you to manipulate how you can best see where they are and what they are. Also, for those that are returning, you know, just think about what the walk was like the last time you went. Birds can be very specific in terms of where they'll sit on a daily basis, even on a yearly basis. The robin will stay in the same bush. The sparrows will sit in the same bushes. You know, wood pigeons maybe not. They'll just sit in any tree around. But just think about what you saw and where you saw it the last time that you walked that route. And as Nick said a bit earlier on, he said, you know, a casual pre-visit to the area prior to doing your first survey can also help to trigger that memory that you've got. One word of advice in terms of when you're doing your survey, the more you minimize the use of your binoculars, the more you'll get out of doing the survey. It's much more efficient if you can ID a species on a call or a song, as if you don't need to lift your binoculars and identify it, then you can be that much more efficient in the way that you are processing the information coming in from all around you in terms of sights and sounds. Now, when you first do it, it's going to be difficult because you're not sure what that is. You're not sure what the characteristics that bird is displaying, and you need to learn that, and that's fine. We've all gone through that. We all go through it when we go to a different area with species that we're not familiar with. But the more practice that you can put in terms of trying to identify small birds in flight by their jizz, which is general impression of size and shape, the easier it will be for you to do your survey, give you more time to write down your results and identify other species that you might not have been able to if you spent more time looking at the ones that are commoner and closer to you. So that's some tips, and if there's any questions, then put them up on the chat, or we can deal with them as at the end of the session. Now I'm just trying to move this on. Now I've mentioned a couple of times there about apps and using your phone and various ID apps and so on that are available. One of the main ones that people have downloaded onto their phones and are using and are thinking of using and can be very useful when it comes to the surveys is the Merlin app. It's available through Cornell University, and just depending on the phone that you've got, it's readily available from Google Play or via the Apple App Store. It's free to download, and what we'll do is in the next Zoom call, we'll go through in a lot more detail in terms of sort of some of the best practices for using the app. But what it allows you to do is to download regional packs. based on where you are in the world or where you're planning on going in the world. And there's a very good pack for the UK. And what it'll allow you to do is to thumb through, explore, search on the species that are available. It's got photographs, it's got a brief description, and it's also got some sound files that you can play. Other things that you can do with it are to actually record what you're hearing, and Merlin will interpret that sound file and come back with a list of the species that it thinks that you're actually hearing, which is the area that is probably of the most use when we're thinking about using Merlin in a survey environment. And as I say, we'll go through that on the next Zoom call in terms of how to use it, what the screens show, and best ways of replaying things and so on. But the other thing it can do at any time, whether it's surveying or just out on birding anywhere, is that you can put in some answers to 3 or 4 basic questions, and it will try and come up with a list of the birds that you might be seeing in terms of a specific species. And the more that it's used and the more feedback that Cornell get, then the better the app is becoming. And we certainly, those of us that have been using it for a year or two have noticed a significant improvement in the ability to understand and identify birds from song in particular, but also from some of the questions that you can ask. So yeah, so it's highly recommended. Just say it's free as well. It's a fantastic free resource. So if you haven't got it, download it at some stage. Download a relevant pack and just have a look through and see how you get on.
Dave, we have a. Oh, sorry, Dave. You're going to move on. It's all right. Leave it.
Yep. No,
You're probably going to answer the question. It's just there's a question in the chat, but
right.
you're probably about to answer it. Yep.
Okay, I'll just have a quick look and see what it says.
The question from Hazel was about: are there any sites or resources that show the flight of birds or birds in flight? I guess picking them up in flight patterns.
There is. I'm not sure there's an app, but there was a very good book that was published, I think 12-18 months ago, which was, I think off the top of my head, is European Passerines in Flight. Is that right, Simon? You might know it better than me. He's not there.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
Bear with.
Yeah, okay, fine. So yes, in terms of apps, I'm not sure. But certainly there is a field guide that was published fairly recently, and Simon will come up with the answer. In the meantime, some of the other apps that are available, there's eBird, which is an app that again, we're looking at, most of these are free to download, but eBird is a way of capturing and sharing your sightings, whether it's on a day out birding or whether you're just doing your morning dog walk and the species that you can that you've seen. Basically, so you can just set it up, you can start it off, it'll record how long, where, and so on that you went, and you can just add in the species that you've seen. And one of the benefits of this is, well, many benefits. Obviously, the data is being collected and shared, but one of the benefits for us all is that the more people report from places, the more hotspots show up around the world, and it's very useful for us visiting birders to new places to interrogate eBird and see where some of the birding hotspots with the biggest variety of species can be seen. Again, so that's a recommended app. BirdNet is a free app, and it's an easy way to identify birds by sound. Now, they say it's easy. I've not tried it a lot myself, but it's a free app, and it's all about sound, birds of sound, and it's something like 3,000 species that are available within that app. One of the other ones that I've got is the Collins Bird Guide. Obviously, that's a printed field guide, very good for the UK, but also Europe as well. You can get that. There is a cost to downloading that app, and there are some further purchases if you want to get download some video files and some sound files as well. But it is an excellent field guide in app or printed form, and it's probably the leading field guide for the UK. And then finally, the last one I'll mention is Bird Track from BTO. Again, another free app, and it's some sort of a bird watching e-notebook. If you look at the ratings, it's not necessarily the highest rated app in this area, but it is improving all the time. They're bringing out new versions, and again, it's a great way, similar to eBird, to capture your birding experiences, and for the data to be captured and shared by the BTO and other organisations that they're working with. So moving on, I think I'll pass this over to Simon now. He's going to run through some of the commoner land birds that we'll be looking for on our surveys and on our various visits to the future visits that we'll be making to other places. And then I'll come back and pick up on what we're going to be doing tomorrow and next weekend. So, Simon.
Thank you, Dave. All right. If all has gone well, that should look seamless, but I've taken control. So, yeah, what we are seeing now in our surveys is a little bit misleading, because this would imply that Dave is out wandering around loads of fields at the moment, and yet he wasn't. He was on holiday. But if Dave had been here and was doing the farmland surveys that I was doing this morning in the rain, Dave would also have been seeing some of these birds. And it's a very weird survey time, the end of March, and that's why typically the BTO surveys are a little bit later in spring, because we have this lovely weird mix of sort of changeover birds at the moment, and we have lots of birds in song. So I had this morning I had skylarks in full song, yellowhammer in full song, linnets, wood pigeons, stock doves, as well as lots of fieldfares and redwings and huge flocks, 900 starlings in one field this morning. So we're still seeing the gathering of winter, as well as we're seeing birds started to get on their territory. We're seeing large numbers of rooks and jackdaws and carrion crows all sort of flocking together. And we're also seeing those, as Dave said earlier, we're starting to get the chiffchaffs and the blackcaps are all starting to reappear as well. And yeah, a lot of raptors, and you'll start to hear a lot of raptors as we're going on. We've been quite specific in our species that we're going to talk about next. And again, if those of you were here for a couple of the sessions that we had last time, you might think, oh, Simon and Dave are going over old ground. This is always a good thing to do, always a good thing to just sort of get your knowledge in, get your sort of understanding. And these are the commonest pitfalls that we're going to show you of some of the species pairs that we experience. And again, what we're trying to do is just re-embed. That's the reason we do all these webinars. And Nick very kindly records them and puts them up. Is for you to watch time and time again, and to hopefully sort of get a bit of an understanding. So I mentioned the meadow pipits there at the moment. This is a lovely view of a meadow pipit. When you're surveying, you tend not to get lovely views of meadow pipits. What you tend to get is you hear them as they disappear very quickly down the end of the field. And what I forgot to do completely was share my screen with sound, because otherwise that would have sounded pretty rubbish. So let me, it's all moved now. Lovely, there we go. all back with sound. So what we're going to be mostly listening to, and especially this time of year, because not many meadow pipits back on territory, is we're going to be listening to this call, which is sort of a high-pitched seep seep, as you will experience. He said, hopefully. Seep seep. Seep seep. Seep seep. It is as simple as that. And you will normally kick them up from under your feet, and they will make that. I'll do it again just for good effect. Now I can get it to work. Seep 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 seep. You'll notice it's getting quieter. It's because it's flying away. So this is the other thing of what the tips that Dave talks about as well, is that different weather conditions, birds are going to sound differently, the way our ears interpret that sound as well. I apparently I'm not going to play the media. I cannot play the media for the Meadow Pipit song. It's all gone horribly wrong, Dave. But it doesn't matter because we're not going to hear any Meadow Pipit songs tomorrow or thing, but we will be hearing quite a few of these seep seeps. There we go. What are we looking for? Probably the archetypical little brown job, LBJ. They've got that streaky back, they're basically made up of streaks. Streaky back, streaky front. As they take off, you'll see typically white outer tail feathers, and they're bouncy. They bounce along as they're in flight. Now, not to be confused with the beautiful skylark. Most of these are coming out and singing their absolute hearts out at the moment. And for whatever reason, we're not going to be able to hear what they can sing. Anyway, we will be hearing ones tomorrow, I imagine. Again, for this time of year, although they are starting to come out in full song at the moment, what you tend to hear as you're walking along the edges of the fields is these chirrupies. Chirrup, 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 chirrup. And actually, when in real life, they tend to utter that, especially if we've booted them out of the edge of their field or so. They tend to make a lot of those calls repeatedly. So choo 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 choo. But very, very different to the higher pitched seep seep seep. As you can see, slightly larger than the meadow pipits, that big crest coming out the back if you see any birds perched. And what you might see at the moment is them sort of, if they are feeding, they do keep very low to the ground. When you see skylarks and meadow pipits together, they are noticeably, the skylark is noticeably bigger than the meadow pipit. What you've also got is that white trailing edge to the wing there, that whitish edge at the back. And if you see them coming off of the ground, they tend to start fluttering as they sort of get higher and higher. So that's our skylark and our meadow pipit. Just to recap, the skylark call. Very fluty, very melodic. And the meadow pipit, sip, 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 disappearing over the horizon there. Smaller bill on the meadow pipit, paler sort of legs, and hopefully two birds. If Dave manages to get round to the Marlow low grounds tomorrow, I think we should probably have both of them, sort of thing. I'm not sure what route you're taking, Dave. So it's see how far you get.
Well, yeah, I think it will depend on just how wet it is. So
Yeah.
We'll come on to that later.
Exactly. And the yellowhammer, we are seeing lots of yellowhammers at the moment. There's still a few flocking together, but what you're going to see, and maybe not small at Little Marlow, I don't think they're that common around there. But when you go out onto your arable farmland surveys, you're going to be hearing the little bit of bread and no cheese. This one. It is a bit of imagination here. Get ready. It's worth it. Little bit of bread and no cheese. Yeah. Dave and I are flummoxed as to who came up with that, but it's stuck with us forever. It's an identification. It's exactly like to wit to woo for Tawny Owls, which is actually a male and a female calling to each other. But nobody lets that get in the way of a good identification story. So we're going to be, what you tend to hear is there's something wheezy in the distance. It's not a greenfinch. And then you suddenly think, it's the cheese bit of the yellowhammer. They have a, I hasten to say, distinctive call, but they have these sips that which to the inexperienced eye here, sounds exactly like little bunting, reed bunting, corn bunting, and yellowhammer, and every other bunting known
Every other
to
bunting in the world.
in the world. However, when you're on your survey and you get any bunting call, as soon as you look up, you are going to get this bright lemon yellow bird. It's been dipped in fluorescent paint, and they are looking particularly splendid at the moment. This picture here, it does not do it justice. You know, they are the colour of lemons when you're out there. The females, again, we've talked about this in previous ones. It does not mirror the human species here, where the ladies are almost more amazing and incredible. However, in the bird world, typically the females are sitting on eggs later in the season, and they need to be a little bit washed out so that no predators can see them. The jewel of Nick's crown. I think Nick's actually disappeared. But this is actually one of the species that the Trek in the Impact is all about. We're running in bucks at the moment. We're running a sort of corn bunting monitoring scheme. Corn buntings used to be very common. They have declined upwards of 75% across the UK and Europe. They are a bird of conservation concern in the red zone, which means they have declined 75% or more. This is a bird actually on the brink, certainly in the UK. Even though if you do go into specific areas along the whole of that Chiltern escarpment, you will still see good numbers. And you will still hear the next bird in analogy, someone jangling some keys. There we go. Take that with a pinch of salt. This is the key jangling. There we go. It could be. I've got some keys. Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. What we will be doing now, again, if we're lucky enough, and we'll see these at Lodge Hill. We're going to see these at Ivanhoe, he says, hopefully, but we'll definitely see them at Lodge Hill. As you can see, unmistakable from the yellowhammer tick from earlier. They actually are, when you see that tick, and that's the important thing, what Dave was saying earlier, it's about hear the noise, look for the bird. I had a corn bunting this morning, and I heard the tick go off as it leapt out of the hedge, and something in my 38, 9 years of birding longevity went, and as I looked up, big chunky thing flew over me, and I was like, corn bunting. But the subtlety, because immediately after a yellowhammer took off calling, and I was like, yeah, did I? But there's just something about them. It's very, very subtle. But as soon as you see it, boom, it's a corn bunting. You will, as I say, hopefully see these, especially when we're at Lodge Hill. They're on the overhead wires, and they're just fantastic birds to see. Again, unmistakable if you see them, which is I think the tagline of tonight. 10% bigger than the yellowhammer. Those big old sort of clawy feet, sometimes dangle in flight as they're heading over the field. Very often mistaken for skylarks. They also nest in the middle of films. Looks like the yellowhammer song has disappeared on this one, Dave. It's all down to the technical difficulties. Jangly keys. Again, this is really just for a little bit of information, because we won't be seeing, I imagine, either of these birds at the Little Marlow visit, but we certainly will later in the year. Interesting ones, these ones. The sort of the wood pigeon and the and soon to be the stock dove. But again, these are the biggest questions we get asked most of the time out on the survey site. Is that a wood pigeon or a song thrush? As you get to know them, as you get to learn them, you'll see there's some real subtle differences. Especially with a wood pigeon with the big white wings, the white sort of dash on the shoulder there, and those big glaring sort of yellow eyes on that sort of pastel grey head. But it's in flight, as you can see there, where they really start to come alive. And most of the time, that's how we see them. We're wandering along, and there'll be a big thrash of wings and stuff, and out of the foliage comes this big beast of a bird. And if it immediately flies up in the air and makes a big loud clapping noise, applauding you for your survey efforts. Wait a minute. It's that will be a wood pigeon. Stock doves do not come out and go woo woo and then fly up immediately and clap in the air, and they haven't got those big white wing bars. But when you are listening in the early hours of 4 to 5 a.m. on your local rooftops when you can't sleep, this is normally the culprit. Look at me. Listen to me. You can do this for hours on certain rooftops in the Bradwell Village area when you've got your windows open at 4 a.m. in the morning. They do not stop sometimes. But amazing birds. They again are on the amber list. Their range has, even though we still see flocks in hundreds of thousands, they are on the amber list, which means their range has constricted, or we've lost over 50% of them across Europe. So you think how many we must have had in order to lose 50% of them. Okay. The stock dove, immediately. That's so easy, isn't it, Simon? There's the black eye, not the yellow eye. There's no white. They are still notoriously difficult. Okay. You start to get your eye in them the more times you go out. And as Dave said, you know, the more you look at stuff, the more you get to appreciate it. And we took this quote, "It's much stockier in flight," from a wonderful person last year on the can't remember exactly who it was, but it was a eureka moment. And we were watching them, and we were trying to identify them with our naked eyes first. And you can do that eventually in flight. And someone went, "Do you know what? They just look stockier." And that's exactly it. They look smaller, more compact. And they fly in a more direct line than the wood pigeons. I always think when the two are compared, stock doves are really sort of, I guess they're energetic and they're sort of quite nervy and they want to get away really quickly. Whereas the wood pigeons just have a little bit more of a lackadaisical flight. But when you see them on the floor and you see that beautiful sort of neck sheen there and that sort of beautiful black speckling on the wings there, stock doves are unmistakable. And what we'll probably get wood pigeon and stock dove, I would have thought, at Little Marlow tomorrow. Hopefully, both of them will be singing. But again, when you've got them nicely side by side there, it's sometimes, oh, how difficult is that? Let's have a little listen to the wood pigeon song. Woo 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 woo. The stock dove, on the other hand, who are you? Who? I always think the stock dove is being very. The wood pigeon's almost sort of declaring itself, and the stock dove's like, "I'm not sure. Who? Shall I call who?" Quite often, stock doves go sort of missing, if you like. They're in the background of the species of when you're going when you're walking around, and you sort of very similar to when we and we'll get later in the year. We'll get into song thrush and missel thrush. Missel thrush is that understated bird as you move along. So it's a very short identification session this evening because we just wanted to go through some of the things because actually what's going to be happening is that we're going to be wandering around some water-based locations this year as well. We've got a fantastic trip later in the year to Otmore, but what we're going to be doing is Little Marlow in the next couple of days. So we decided to make a slight change because we have been, for a lot of the people who've been on the previous surveys, they have been, we're going to Lodge Hill and Ivanhoe Beacon, and we wanted to really sort of spice it up a little bit and give you a little bit of exposure to other species as well. And particularly in the Lodge Hill and the Ivanhoe Beacon locations, we're going to sort of focus a little bit on survey techniques as well. So we're going to be doing a little bit of technique building as well. Dave, did you want to take back over to talk us through the rest of the year?
Did I ruin that bit in terms of style? I'm not quite sure whether you saw my screen or your screen. Yes, quite happy to take back ownership.
There you go.
Right, you're giving it back to me. Cool. Yeah. So as I'm saying, we've got there's those of you that have been with us for 2 or more years or whatever. We obviously got to keep you interested, but we also want you to expand your experience and your knowledge and your confidence, and to learn more and have more fun. So those of you that are new, then you're going to get more of this in a concentrated form over the course of this year. But there's more of us that will be able to help you with all the questions that you may have and all the issues that you may want to try and solve in terms of what's that and why is it that and when is it, what noise is it supposed to make and why is it not making the right noise and why does it look like the book and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's just let's expand our horizons a little bit more and have some real fun. So the idea is that for the year ahead, we'll have these 6 different sessions. We're planning on...
Sorry, Dave. I think in the confusion of swap over, I think your share stopped sharing.
Right. Okay. Where are we? Is that the right slide now? Simon, can you see the right slide now?
No, I can't see your share at all, Dave.
Oh, okay. Hang on a sec. I just need to get back into this then. No, that's not it. I'm just trying to find the right. It's not coming up with. You'll have to make. Have you made me back as the? I can't see the bar at the bottom at the moment. It's not coming up. Do you need to make me co-host again?
You were host actually.
Yeah. I'm not getting the bar at the bottom of the screen coming back up to control anything at the moment. Which is a bit odd.
Yes. I'm just trying to see who is. No, you are host, Dave. So you should be able to. You should have everything.
All right. No, it's not working. It's not working.
Is it the whole bar you can't see, or is it just share screen?
It's just the whole bar is not showing. No, it's not working. Hang on a second. Bear with us.
Always a slight technical hitch.
Yeah, indeed. Well, can you put it on to the plan for the year ahead slide for me?
Yes, I'll just sort of I'll start mine up again. Hold on a moment.
If you wouldn't mind, that would be great. Well, I'll try and work
My,
out.
my biggest problem now, Dave, is obviously I need to go in a moment. So
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
so the share is only, there we go. Your screen share, it's just come up, your screen sharing has stopped. So I don't know if you were sharing it in the background.
Um,
Sorry, I'm just starting mine up again. There we go.
right, hang on, share screen. Right.
We can see your screen again now, Dave.
Excellent. So all I need to do is to find the right slide now.
There you
Right,
go.
there
That's
we
it.
go. Cool. So if I do show this in not the full screen mode, apologies for that, but let's keep going. So the plan for the year ahead in terms of the sessions, we've got the six sessions there. The Zoom calls will take place the evening before the first of each of the outdoor sessions. So obviously March the 15th is today. Tomorrow we're going to be walking around Little Marlow gravel pit and the local area. And then Simon's group will be following on the following weekend on the 24th. March the 29th will be the Zoom call, and then the 30th and 31st there'll be 2 sessions at Lodge Hill to see what we can find there in terms of farmland and a bit of woodland birding. And then 13th and 14th, 12th of April will be the Zoom call, and then 13th and 14th of April, Steps Hill and Ivinghoe Beacon. And at that stage, we should have some of the migrant warblers coming through, and other migrants as well. And then on the 10th of May, Friday evening will be the Zoom call, and then the 11th and 12th of May will be hopefully a very exciting session at Otmoor in Oxfordshire, not that far away from us here in sort of the High Wycombe area. It's only about sort of 30-40 minutes to get there, and it is an absolutely amazing place, especially in early mid-May when the warblers are in, and there'll be lots of other birds and sights to be seen around there. And then 8th and 9th of June, haven't quite decided yet. We'll come back to you on that, whether it's going to be somewhere in the Milton Keynes area or whether it will be around the Tring reservoirs. And then at the end of June, then we're going to have a session, our normal sort of wrap-up session, and have a walk around College Lake. And Nick tends to put his hand in his pocket and buy some breakfast or some nice cakes or something like that. So look forward to that. So that's your itinerary, and I'll just talk a bit more about tomorrow. We're now coming up 7 o'clock, so I'll hammer through this fairly quickly. But we're going to be near water, so a lot of the species that we're going to be looking at and for are going to be very different from our normal farmland and woodland habitat walks. Top left, we have great crested grebe. Top centre, little grebe, and then we've got coot, moorhen, grey heron. There's a heronry at Little Marlow, and they already have chicks in the nests, so that should be quite interesting to see and hear. Hear them grunting and croaking all the time. Little egrets are a common feature now at a lot of our water areas, and we should see some of those tomorrow. Looking at the quackers, the ducks, obviously mallard, gadwall, which aren't on this particular picture, but we've got male and female pochard on the top, and then a male and female tufted duck. And bottom left, male widgeon, female widgeon, then the male and female shoveler. So we'll be looking for all of those and any other ducks that we can find. But besides the ducks, we'll be looking at things like the gulls. There's been a pretty big passage of common gulls and some black-headed gulls through the area in the past week or so. Some big numbers of common gulls, up to 1,000 or more. So it'd be quite nice to see lots of those feeding in the meadows. And the black-headed gulls are also starting to pass through and attaining their smart chocolate brown hoods and partial white eye rings. So it would be interesting to see those. We might even get the chance to introduce you to the LWHG group, which is the large white-headed gull group. And this is a cluster of species that includes herring gull, lesser blackback gull, greater blackback gull, and also some interesting species such as Caspian gull and yellow-legged gull. The aging and identification of some of those species can be quite challenging. So we won't spend a huge amount of time on it, but we can certainly introduce you to that sort of cluster of species. So the logistics for tomorrow, for those that are coming, Little Marlow gravel pits, not a 6 o'clock start. We're going to go for a 7 o'clock start, and we should be at least probably 2.5 to 3 hours. So get ready to go, arrive if you can, to get ready to go for 7 o'clock. Now directions, we're going to go down onto the Coldmoreholm Lane, which is south of the Marlow Bourne End Road. I think it's near the roundabout where the road takes you up towards Flackwell Heath. It's more on the east side of that, about a couple of 100 yards. So you go down that road. It's fairly narrow, so be careful. Go past the Spade Oak pub about 150, 200 metres, and the car park is on the right-hand side. It's quite a large car park. And I'll have an emergency contact form for everybody to sign and put a contact number on, just to be on the safe side. But the one thing that I will say is that with all the rain and everything else that there has been over the last few weeks, that wellies are essential. Please wear wellies if you possibly can. But yeah, the forecast looks fairly reasonable. There'll be a number of chaps and people around who regularly birdwatch down there. So if there's anything about, we'll get to hear about it fairly quickly. So looking forward to a good walk around Little Marlow tomorrow. Here's a map just showing the car park here. So on this central part here is the lake itself. And here's the going east-west, or west-east as the cursor goes, the Marlow to Bourne End Road. And then Coldmoreholm Lane is this one going south here. You go around a left-hand bend and a right-hand bend, and you'll see the Spade Oak pub. After the Spade Oak pub, there's a right-hand bend, and then about 100 yards after that, car park is on the right-hand side. What we'll do is we'll probably walk down to the Thames and have a look at the meadows there to begin with, and then we'll retrace our steps, and then we'll have a full circuit of the of Little Marlow gravel pits. And hopefully there's been the odd chiff-chaff recorded there. There's Chetty's warblers resident, so we should hear them even if we don't see them. There's been a yellowhammer in the arable fields on the north here today. Obviously, there's flocks of winter thrushes that may be around. Reed buntings, so a good variety of species for us to go through. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, those that are coming, and those that Simon will be seeing a week on Sunday. I don't know whether you'll go to the same car park, Simon, but if not, then I guess you'll send the directions out to your group as and when. So any questions, anybody? Can unmute. Unmute. Oh, that's interesting. I can mute all, but I can't unmute you all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? I can hear you. I could hear you.
I think you may have just muted everybody.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just a bit, the dates that you showed seem very different to the ones that I had in the email.
Right.
Quite a few of them are different.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll check that and I'll double check it with the email and Nick, and if there's any mistakes, we'll put them out on the WhatsApp group for you all, just to confirm.
Is there anybody else that has that issue, or is it just me?
Well, I haven't got the dates from this Zoom meeting.
Right. Well, we'll confirm them all through the groups for you over the course of the next couple of days. But
Okay.
The first session, March 16th and 24th, are definitely set in stone.
And yes, and those two are the ones that I've got, but after that, quite a few of them vary quite a bit. And there's a few people have responded to say that they too have got different dates.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll sort that out and communicate through the WhatsApp groups to make sure everybody's got the right dates.
Thank you very much. Thank you
for that.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks everybody for your time. Those that are coming tomorrow, look forward to seeing you. And also Simon will look forward to seeing the rest of you on the other session on the 24th. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Cheers.
Good night. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks both of you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Bye-bye.